This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Weekend Podcast, where I'm joined by a terrific set of talent this evening. Certainly itching away to get up that Naps table rankings with plenty of points for you, our listeners, this weekend. Hopefully we'll do the business for you. So joining me, John Lang. Good evening, John.
Good evening, Lee. I'm coming out of the other end of plantar fasciitis.
Whatever. Google it. It's not very nice. He's been telling me this, John. Yes. Secondly, Quentin Franks, he's back. Good evening, Quentin.
Evening, Lee.
Yes.
Evening, all.
Great to have you back. And also, last and certainly not least, professional punter and racehorse trainer Neville Ender. Good evening, Neville.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, excited for this show. Maybe the quality is not up there in terms of the flat trials, but certainly it's a lot of action to get through. I'm more concerned actually with the watering and the weather that's around more than anything. Poor Kirkland Telrong. He's managed to slap 5 millimeters on at Haydock today. Right. So and I've checked the current weather at Haydock and it's pelting down and it's going to pelt down all night. So God knows what that's going to end up tomorrow at Haydock. So after being worried that it might be too quick earlier in the week for you jumps fans and flat fans for that matter, it might end up very, very soft come Haydock tomorrow with Kirkland watering this morning. 5 millimeters he slaps on this morning. Well done, Kirkland. So be wary of your bets, let's say. Let's be a little bit shrewd tonight. You know, if you fancy some horses, maybe wait till the morning until you've seen the overnight rain, etc., etc. Anyway, let's get on with it. Our 3 best bets, that's what we're here to do. And Neville, I'm going to come to you first of all for your 3rd best bet.
My 3rd best bet is in the Hexham 305, and it's a handicap hurdle, but there are several in this race that are either out of form or have been on the go for a good part of the previous year or the previous season. The horse that I like is a horse that I backed last time and he ran awful. But I'm prepared to forgive him because it was his first run for 116 days. The horse in question is called Ask Paddington, 305 Hexham. He was formerly trained by Mickey Hammond, won for Mickey, but then he improved when going to Tristram Davidson, so much so that he earned a rating of 134. He's had 5 runs for his present yard, Becky Menzies, and they've been running him. Every one of those starts, bar one, has been on soft or good to soft ground, apart from the first, which was over fences on good ground. But he is a top of the ground horse, and with the ground being good at Hexham, I think it's going to really suit him tomorrow. He's down to a mark of 113, and he literally is thrown in. The jockey booking of Peter Coleman, I'm not sure it's a positive or a negative, because I don't think this horse really does need any weight off his back to give him a roaring good chance, but they're taking £7 off with this young lad Peter Coleman, who I know very little about. He does work at the yard, but I don't know in terms of how many winners he's ridden. He can't have ridden 20 winners, otherwise he wouldn't be claiming 7. But this horse gets it off a good mark. I think that he'll love the course. If you look back, he has won and been second in his only 2 previous starts at Hexham. I think 1 or 2 here. 8 runners. I'm not going to back him each way. I'm going to go on the nose. Ask Paddington, 3rd best bet of the weekend for me.
Bang, straight in there for Neville. 17-2 available with 4 firms.
Come on, it's going to be more than that. 17-2. That's all you get in, Nev. I know you love a big wall's ice, but 17-2 is all I can do for you. Peter Coleman, yeah, I've not heard much of him. He's ridden 5 winners. He's 12th at the yard field. He deserves his chance, so good luck with that one. 17-2 to get Neville off to a fly, hopefully. Excellent. Quentin, coming to you for your 3rd best.
My 3rd best bet of the weekend comes in the opener at Ascot, and
I'm hoping it's kind of like Royal Ascot in its wide draws to the 4 on the round course, and I'm going to have a punt on Ziggy. He's 14 to 1 at the moment. I think there's scope from his mark still. He went well last season, steadily progressive for Harry Eustace. Found trouble in running at Glorious Goodwood, but shaped like he was ahead of his mark. Race worked out fine, plenty of winners in behind now, rated in the 90s. Spin at Sandown on desperate ground didn't suit. And then he didn't seem to stay at York early October on the far rail as well, which wasn't really the place to be. He's drawn 16 here, which is generally a positive. I hope they ride him mid-div rather than drop him out. Just sit and slide across and find a position. Hate being drawn on the inside here. Fair few in the market I don't really like. Above him, Screaming Petrus, I'm not quite sure how that single figures. The thing looks an absolute pig of a horse and looks to have a lofty enough mark. Wonder Mountebank came from a decent race at first that's worked out, but he looks about priced right. Ziggy was the one for me here. The Flying Solo, Sylvester D'Souza tried to sit handy at Doncaster in November Handicap and then pushed the horse on into a fierce headwind. I thought it would be double figures on seasonal reappearance. 14, any double figures, Ziggy is more than fair for me.
No, it's a very good case. And I obviously, the strange thing with Ascot on the round course, like you said, Quentin, he obviously does favour high numbers. The stats bear it out. You can only think that's probably down to maybe nearest the trees, maybe taking the moisture out of the ground, or maybe the watering system is maybe a bit flawed and there's too much going on the inside and not enough on the outer.
That's the barring route you're talking about.
Yeah, the Carson under the trees.
Yeah.
Wicked Willie, yes. Absolutely.
Or that you just find yourself a bit too far back when horses wide come across you and you're drawn low and you end up, the amount of trouble in running there when they're coming around the home bend, horses that don't get clear shots at things. So that will, a lot of factors, but I still don't think it's something that's factored into the market. So happy to stick with a wide draw.
Yeah, I agree. I like the wide draws at that trip. 14 to 1 for Quentin for his what I'm no need to ask him for each way as he doesn't.
No need to ask.
No, 1 point win Ziggy, 14 to 1 generally available at the time of recording. Thank you, Quentin. John, with your, what do you call it? Begin with P. What have you got?
Plantar fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis. That's where you get shooting pains right up your ball of your foot.
Your heel.
Yeah, your heel. Yeah. But so with you, I mean, I hope you're coming to York next week with you being crippled. I mean, am I wheeling you in? Is it Lou and Andy time?
No, thanks to the miracle that is Amazon, I got the plantar fasciitis recovery kit delivered yesterday.
Oh, good.
And I've been wearing a arch support and a heel cup all day. And while I couldn't do a sharp 5 furlongs up Warren Hill, I'll certainly make it into York under my own steam.
Good stuff. Because we'll be having some Yorkshire puddings and stuff like that. Yeah, be a good day. That me and John are there Wednesday and Thursday next week. If anyone wants to say hello, you probably won't, but I don't blame you at all. John, your third best bet then?
My third best bet is at Nottingham. And it's in the 4:30, and it's Alan King's Rampoldi Plan. I had this horse in my notebook last year, basically for 3 dirty not-offs, in all honesty. Yeah. None more so than the last one, which I thought was absolute filth. And I was all set to back this first time up at Southall. And I missed the price. They absolutely sledged this into 5 to 4. And it serves a break for beating me to the price because the saddle slipped and fucked it up for him. And there was nobody more chuffed than me, to be honest. This runs off 65 tomorrow. I'd be pretty convinced he's got 75 within him by the end of the season at least. I think the horse can do a lot better than he's shown so far. If the saddle stays in place, Thomas Gray checks. I think he's just rode his claim out today, hasn't he, or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. perfectly all right round there. Good draw. One, I'll have the 11 to tell there, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, 11-2. Right, on to my third best bet of the weekend's action, and I'm going to the Swinton Hurdle of all places for my third best bet, and I am absolutely perplexed by the price of Cormier, Brian Ellison's runner, for the Swinton Hurdle. I have no idea why this isn't favourite. How on earth can this be 10-1? It's crazy. This horse was second in this last year to a very well handicapped horse in Coppolas who hasn't come out since. Camprond was third, and Camprond's just won at Punchestown at the big festival. This season's form, he beat Severance at Cheltenham. He came out and then won the Moor Battle at Kelso, doing it without having to come from the back, which I'm not sure was ideal. And then in the county hurdle, his seventh place can be heavily upgraded, I feel, because he was hampered right, sort of turning in right up until the last by the hanging one of Gordon's, Gigginstown. I can't remember which one it was because he got a cut. I think it was a grey, and it was hanging into Cormier all the way. Cormier just couldn't get clean daylight. He finally got going up the running and stayed on lovely into seventh. Absolutely nothing wrong with the run whatsoever. How this is 10-1, and with the rain falling, that's perfect. He loves a bit of dig. How this out of the frame, but I'm not going to go each way because it's a sign of weakness to go each way. So this is on the snout, and it's going to be 1 point win for me, Cormier, which I think this should go off favourite. There's nothing in this race that should be a shorter price than Cormier, in my view, on this season's form. He's done nothing wrong whatsoever, and he's still well in off the mark of 138. So Cormier for me, 1 point win, 10-1, generally available. So get stuck into that. Right, I'll swing it back round. John, I'll come to you first for your second best.
My second best tomorrow, the Vicky Cup at Ascot. And that is David O'Meara's Orban. That's a fairly massive price. I've sort of kept half an eye on this horse for the last couple of years, to be honest. And he's running a few big failed handicaps and things, and he hasn't always had the best of luck in running. He had a spell there where Jamie Spencer rode him 4 or 5 times on the spin, and I don't know if that was significant or not, but he certainly didn't have the best of luck on several occasions, shall we say. Last time out, I think it was in the Newbury Spring Cup, he's waiting for a run, and he'd done it all on the bridle by the time the run did. I also noted before the race, I thought the horse looked in better nick than I could ever remember seeing him that day. And I didn't think he ran a bad race at all. I think he's very, very interesting here at a big price, because I think there'll be enough pace on for him to run at. I think the draw in the Deader's Foot middle won't be too disastrous, because I think he'll come across stand side. Yeah, I'll like at a big price. Okay,
so 40-1 is available with Denise Coates. So you're going to back this each way. You're going to be a wanker, aren't you?
I'm afraid so.
Yeah, seven, and a sign of weakness. 7 pegs. It's one each way for John at the 40s with Bet365, but 7 places available. At Sky Bet are paying 8. It's interesting, these place terms. I don't know any mathematicians out there this viable for these firms to be offering place terms of this size. I'm not sure. Neville, I'm coming to you next for your second best, please.
Well, you've already made the case for Cormier, and I do agree with you. I think he's got an excellent chance, assuming that the ground does go soft. But I think there might be one that's got enough I won't say good off a lenient mark, but off a fair mark. And I think this type of race, you need a horse that's not really shown his hand too much, rather than being raced all throughout last season, and the handicapper knows exactly how good most of them are. But Literal Lad of Philip Hobbs gets into this race on the back of just 4 starts over hurdles, and prior to that he'd only had I think, the same amount of runs in National Hunt flat races. He came back after a long break to finish second to one of Paul Nicholls at Chepstow. The pair finished miles ahead, and he was a short price favourite that day. And I assume that most people thought he ran below his form, but I think he ran pretty much to his mark of 135 that day. Before that, he'd finished second at Exeter in a really hot novices hurdle, and before that, I'd finished second to a horse that you mentioned earlier on, Comprond, of his stable companion at Chepstow. 135, I think he's, as I said, it's not chucked in, but it's a fair assessment of his form. One thing I would be a bit concerned about would be if it did come up very soft. I've just been having a look at the weather report for Haydock for tonight and tomorrow. Looks like there's definitely going to be some rain overnight, but it's only like an 8 or 9% chance for tomorrow. So assuming that the ground doesn't go softer than soft, I'm going to stick with him as my second best bet. But I do think that Philip Hobbs is the type of trainer not to run a horse of this quality if he doesn't think the ground's right for him. So I'm going to stick with him. Luttrell Lad in the Swinton, the 3 o'clock at Haydock, my second best bet of the weekend.
Good stuff. 2 points win on the nose for Nev at 8-1 Luttrell Lad, and I share Nev's sentiments. If I could pick the danger, that would be it. I genuinely think that horse has a bit of quality about him, and that was a nice prep at Chepstow. I know he didn't win, but that race wouldn't have suited him. Chasing a slow pace of Paul Nicholls, and I think that might have just put him spot on for this. So yeah, if I could come with a danger, that would be it, Nev. So we're two-handed are the bar stewards on the Swinton. Luttrell Lad for Nev and Cormier for me. On to my second best. It's fairly unoriginal. This one, which, I can't really jump up and down about this, but the 13-8 available about Emily Dickinson in the 3:15 at Lingfield, the Oaks Fillies trial, I think's too big. I think this will be going off a shade of odds on round about the even money mark. Of a distinct lack of quality in this, very little depth whatsoever. I don't like the Gosden horse. Rogue Millennium came down the middle at Wetherby, and Wetherby on the inside's been dreadful. So I think Rogue Millennium, whatever you think she's achieved on debut, she did it with down the centre of the track. So you can't uprate that one. There's absolutely no scope for any improvement of any of the runners to get to Emily Dickinson's level at the moment, I don't think, because she will improve again. She was behind above the curve that finished second in the D stakes this week at Chester, and she was in an uncompromising position at Leopardstown for that run, so she can be upgraded for that. She then won a maiden nicely, and I do think with time, distance, like she's bred to do, I think this will go off odds on, and I think 13-8 available is going to be a steal. The form the O'Brien runners are in this week, just absolutely blitzing everybody at Chester. Ryan Moore, etc., riding out of his skin. So yeah, very solid favourite Emily Dickinson. If you want a banker tomorrow, that's it. 2 points win for me. 13-8 to win the Oaks trial. Quentin, coming to you for your second best.
You were never double-handed in the Swinton, so I'm going to go double-handed with John in the Victoria Cup and go with a horse that's drawn next to him in the centre in Royal Pleasure. Centre's probably not the place to be, but I can see him splitting into two groups here, to be honest. And take your pick. You go stand side or you go far side. Far side today would be the place to be. But it's a case of seeing what the going stick says in the morning and plot your way from there. Yeah. Royal Pleasure itself, he had a couple of months off the track, reappeared last week at Donny. It was steadily enough run race, outpaced, stayed on well. Truth be told, it was a small field event, 4 runners, but the form made sense. You had Comanche Falls in there, who's got a good record, fresh. Rathbon, he was fit from all weather runs. And the last horse, Intrinsic Bond, I think it was, that has a decent record at Donny. They clocked a fair time here. He's had one run at Ascot where he was on the wrong side in one of the big handicaps at Royal Ascot. But I like the sand-based surface of Ascot for him. Same as Doncaster, sand-based. He's got fair all-weather form, decent figures on the clock. He's 20-1, 2 points win.
Good stuff. Love that. 2 points win at 20s. Quentin there, 40 points there with the Thor hammer on board. thrashing away on Royal Pleasure there in stall 16 next to John's. John will be hoping that John's crosses him at the start, won't you, John? You're like that. Yes. So 2 points for Quentin at 20's Royal Pleasure in the Victoria Cup. So double-handed in two of the big races tomorrow, the Bar Stewards. Some Dutch bets, some Dutching going away maybe. Okay, so that's the round of 2 pointers. I'll kick us off then on the 3 pointers. And we're going to go to the 205 at Leafy. This is, again, a bit of a wrong price. Al Geed has been scratched by just this afternoon, just now, actually. No Al Geed in the race. But Ex Gracia, Jane Chapelaine. We love Jane. You've got to love Jane Chapelaine. Tremendous trainer. This is standout price. I have absolutely no idea what this is doing at 13-2. With the non-runner out, it was she was bigger than that, but she's already finished in front of Vero Eagle at Lingfield with a tough trip. I mean, that's the thing for me here. We're dealing with a very big filly. A size is if it matches the quality going forwards, then we're certainly well in here. She won very, very well at Southwell, quickening well clear, and then since then she was tried against Venturous. In a race, basically, she wasn't entitled to win. Venturous was rated 106, Judicial 105, Memento 98, and Jane felt she was good enough to take a chance in that. Well, she didn't disgrace herself. She wasn't beaten that far, beaten 5 lengths. Like I said, these are very, very good horses. And then last time out behind Amber Island, she was an impossible draw of stall 12, dropped in by Thrasher Morris, who didn't thrash her at all, actually. She was basically out the back, making ground, sort of, there's no room whatsoever. She was on the heels of them and still finished in front of the favourite Vero Eagle. And I thought Ex Gracia had just as tough a trip as what Vero Eagle did. So for me, 13. This is absolutely enormous. Ex Gracia. Why is she not favourite? 13-2 lump on 3 points win. Bang. Tom Doyle in the saddle for Jane Chapelaine for me. So that's gonna get me off to a big day tomorrow. Ex Gracia. Okay, who should we come to next? I'm going to come to back to you, Quentin. I'll throw it back to you.
My best bet of the weekend comes in the Hate opener. Ground's obviously a concern, but I'm not concerned. It's really soft. Any further rain will be beneficial, I think, to the horse. Horse in question is Caesar's Palace. He caught the eye last season on his second start at Nottingham. I felt it was a long-term project, caught further back than ideal, steadily run race, etc., etc. Same thing on his third start, pulled a little bit, ended up away in the centre of the track, away from the favoured stand-side rail that day. Faded, shaped like he'll be a 3-year-old that will just progress with racing, progress with a trip. I had, I was fortunate enough to back him when he came second at Nottingham on handicap debut. Slowly away rusty, caught further back than ideal again in a steady run race. Stayed on sympathetic handling, chased down one of John Butler's, got within a length and 3/4 of him, did well under the circumstances. He's gone up £2 for that. Physically, he's going to be one that keeps improving with racing. The Dam did herself return ace, and she was her sole win was on heavy ground. So I think surface-wise, we're going to get a fair bit of improvement. He just looks a bit of a boat and a bit of a plodder. So 9-2's around. I suspect it'll be a lot shorter than that tomorrow. In terms of the race, you've got Grimsby Town there. That's a dog. Down to the Kid, I'm concerned about the surface, but it doesn't really look a soft ground pedigree, and the same applies to Spirit of UAE and City Streak. Fearless Bay's shown his best form on your weather, and it's a Sayuni that's already flopped on soft ground. So 9-2's about. 9-2 looks big.
Massive. Absolutely concur with you there, Quentin. 3 points win on the nose. 9-2 with the Stoke firm. Like you say about Fearless Bay would be a big danger on quickish ground because that was very lazy at Wolverhampton. You can see that's got more to come from the mark. But if the ground's on the pudding side, then we can probably put a line through that, and I'm with you on that. Caesar's Palace, good nap, Quentin. 3 points at 9-2 there, so well done. Neville, next, I'm coming to you for your best, please.
My nap is going to be at Cork in the 420 Chiricahua of Paul Nolan's. Almost certainly will go off favourite, but hopefully it won't be too short. Certainly don't think it'll be odds on. This is a really good flat horse. Towards the end of 2021, he really did improve for being stepped up in trip and ended in the low 90s. He's only had a handful of runs over hurdles, 5 in total. All those races have been either at 2.5 miles or less. But this horse stayed extremely well on the flat, won over 1 mile 6 at Killarney. And I think the step up to 3 miles is going to really suit him tomorrow. True, his jumping has looked like it has got 1 or 2 flaws in it. He fell at Listowel one day and unseated at Wexford. But it may have been that the trip was just a little bit short for him over hurdles, and it'll go just a little bit steadier over 3 miles. I don't think there's a great deal in the race. I could only find one horse that I would put up against him as a danger, and that was Air Square. And the pair actually met last time out at Wexford when Chiricahua fell, unseated rider, and Chiricahua still held every chance at that time. So we don't know whether Air Square would have finished in front or behind of my selection. But I think this is a really, I won't say a classy flat horse, but a good quality flat horse running over 3 miles over hurdles will surely have too much class for these. I can see this winning easily. Chiricahua nap selection. Good. Anything above evens.
7-4, Nev.
Yeah.
You're rubbing your hand. I can feel it. I can feel the electricity from Planet Neville.
Yeah. Cheek pieces as well, I think, might just to help concentrate him, because as I said, he's got 1 or 2 jumping problems. He unseated and he fell, so I think the cheek pieces are there just to keep his concentrated. But I do like him. I think you don't get that many good flat horses running over 3 miles over hurdles.
No,
it's a real sort of stayers trip 3 miles, and I think if they can hold on to him for long enough, I think he'll have too much speed for them.
Yeah, Sean O'Keefe, I think, is a really good jockey as well. In the saddle. Interesting, Nev. I don't know if you know anything about this, about your naps. That's Chiricahua for Nev, 7-4. He's loving that. He's clicking away.
Yeah, I think it's
yeah, massive. Non-runner last time out, 16th of April.
Yeah, it was
non-runner family bereavement.
It was Paul Nolan's father died.
Oh dear. Oh,
so that was the reason.
Yeah. So basically, So I reckon they'll be busting for a good win here. So you have Chiricahua, 7-4 for Nev. Very, very confident selection. Double it with Emily Dickinson in the Oaks trial, and you'll be laughing. That's the bar steward's advice. Okay, thank you for that, Nev. Great stuff. Last but certainly not least, John Lang.
This will have both our remaining listeners scratching their heads in disbelief, to be honest. I normally avoid Fillies handicaps like the plague.
It's pate time, yeah.
As a rule. I tend to make exceptions when it's involving a filly from my second favourite stud in the world, Meon Valley. Now, this runs in the 3:30 at Ascot, and it's Delta Bay. The dam of this was nothing special, but the Grand Dam threw a horse called Ballet Concerto, won a Magnet Cup for Sir Michael Stout and got seriously better with age. And the thing that struck me about this horse last year, apart from the fact she never really looked well in a coat, was how much she reminded me of Ballet Concerto from a physical point of view, which it might seem a bit strange from a filly, but structurally in front of the saddle, how she was set up and everything was striking, really, and it sort of encouraged me to keep an eye on her, really, and that's why I had these notes about whether she was well in a coat and all the rest of it. I think for Meon Valley to persist with a 4-year-old mare, when they could quite easily retire her and braid off her now with her paper, and allow her to kick off in a handicap rather than drop her out the back and pick up the bits and get a bit of black tape somewhere. I think this is fairly significant. I love the trainer off a break. This is his first run for Carey. She was with Towser and Slim last year. The horse is open to stacks of improvement physically. As I said, she was rather like Ballyconcerto. She was very unfurnished last year, light across the neck and lines. Looked very narrow in front when you look straight at her, and them keeping her going tells me that there'll be improvement forthcoming here. They've got a good kid up taking £3 off. That also suggests the main business. So I'm taking a punt here because the favourite, 72, is Strawberry, Roger Varians. She actually beat this last year off levels in a maiden, and they're off levels again, and there's no comparison in the prices. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And against me, on sense take failings where I avoid Fillies Handicap.
Do you know? I love your paddock assessments. I do. I really do. And just to interject, John, you said about Strawberry, the Roger Varian filly, that's favourite. She has to have soft ground. Has to have it. If that not only on the form book, but that comes direct from Roger Varian himself. So that if that gets quick tomorrow at Ascot, for example, I wouldn't be surprised to see Strawberry drift or even be withdrawn. And she's market leader. But anyway, continue, sir. Sorry.
Well, that's about it, really. I mean, as I said, I don't think I can make a stronger case for anything tomorrow, really, than this one. I've kind of got a picture in my head of how I expect it to look for the winter under a belt. And if I see her on the telly and she ticks all the boxes, I'll probably have a right bet. But
yeah, you'll have to message me.
Well, you know, I mean, I have to make a decision tonight, don't I? So I'm putting it up.
Right, good stuff. Well, it's 10-1, John. That's with Paddy's and Betfair. Are you wankering or are you straight on the nose? 3 points win, 10-1. What a knack from John on paddock and physical nature. He expects this filly to improve and progress markedly. 83, certainly a fair mark on a maiden win when beating Professional Widow. I think you can all see that in the form book. So that's a very interesting observation from John. Worth a note there at 10s. Good stuff, John. Do you know what? I really like all that. I think we've put some good work in here. I do like the selections this week. I think they're all really good. Q note from 12. but the feeling, I felt Nev's electricity about his nap. Nev, like Nev really wants a price. So if Nev says something's a good price, that means if he thinks 7-4 is good, it should be 1-3.
Yeah.
You saying I'm tight bastard?
Yes. It's like he's like Nev always wants big prices that's just not attainable, and so when Nev says something's good at 7-4, listen. Anyway, we're going to move on to the TV action, and we'll start off at Ascot. And I thought this was a minefield of a card. To be honest, I did my best to try and find, a strong bet. Quentin's done so. John's done so. I failed. So we'll go to the 145 race. Any thoughts on the opener, chaps? Obviously, Quentin's tipped Ziggy. So mainly John, Neville, and me. What do we think? Any thoughts?
Well, I'm going to pass on it because I'll be honest with you. It's just for me. It's just a no bet race whatsoever. I couldn't fancy anything.
Exactly, not your thing. I mean, to be honest, I'm in Nev's camp. I was really struggling with this. The only angle I've got is the draw. With what Quentin said, it is correct. You want the wide draws over the 1.5 miles, so maybe concentrate on that. John,
just to fly in the face of the draw theory, I thought Boss Power looked quite portly for his debut, and I think there'll be a fair bit of improvement to come there. I can see him getting a nice sit-in just nicely behind the pace. Whether he gets a run or not, Christ knows, but I think he'll run really well tomorrow.
Okay, Good stuff, John. So John thought that Boss Power carrying plenty of condition for reappearance, so that's interesting. We'll move on then to the 220, which is the Buckhounds listed race, and Al Arzi heads the market at 7-4. A horse I liked I liked him last year a lot, was Mandoob. You look at his form, he got up to beat Princess Nadia. I thought it was a real stayer, real strong stayer, 1.5 mile and 6. Your beer in the Bahrain Trophy, and then obviously bombed out at Ascot. The wind surgery concerns me a little bit, if I'm honest. He was declared to run at Chester. They didn't want to run him on the soft ground, which was earlier in the week, yesterday. And so, yes, I'm a Mandoob fan because I think he's better than the 104. But any thoughts on that, chaps? The fact the wind up, does it put anyone off? It does me a little bit. Thinking, is this all sort of, has his wind gone? Don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a positive. I think I think most trainers will do the wind up even if they don't need it now, don't they?
Yeah.
I was surprised last season that they decided halfway through the season to geld Al Arsi, considering he got beat just a neck in the Coronation Cup by Pal Driver, who will probably find a job as a stallion. And this horse was only a neck behind him, and yet they decided to geld him. I really don't understand that unless that was for reasons, health reasons. But he has looked a bit of a, for want of a better word, he's looked a shit on occasions, Al Arsi.
Yeah.
But there's no doubting that he is, on his day, he is a Group 1 horse. Or if he's not a Group 1, he's definitely a Group 2 horse. He's second to Solid State at Newbury when he looked like he threw in the towel that day. But I think he's a real class act. And the fact that they've continued to, because it'd been very easy just to send him to the horse training sale at Newmarket, wouldn't it? A gelding of, well, particularly when Shadwell were having a big clear out last season as well. So I think they must still think that there is a good race in him. I'm intrigued to see why Jim Goldie is running an unraced 4-year-old who hasn't got a pedigree first time out in this race. Are there no novice races for horses like it? 2 old pals.
He might have got a madam down there, Neville. he might be paying someone a visit.
Why on earth would you run a horse in that race? I can't see any upside to that at all.
There's no upside at all, is there? Surely, you've got a horse.
He's got
a bad first experience.
Tickets. You know how expensive
it is to get experience if you tailed off throughout, though. The lowest rated in the race, 95. He's going to have to run to 94 to just behind the horse that finishes last on ratings.
Maybe the owner's just down there and he's thinking, right, well, we might as well get 6 tickets, and the scran's not bad at Ascot and the owners, I can tell you. Maybe that's it.
Maybe, but it'd be quite expensive to enter a race like that, wouldn't it?
You think so?
It's going to be at least £600-700 into just to get in a race like that. Would it? I don't know. I've never entered in that.
Probably was. No, same here. The each one I entered was, I think, with the Cheshire. I think that was a few £100 for the Cheshire, but
it's nearly £100 these days to run in a 0 to 70. So you think it's going to be a few £100 for a listed race, wouldn't you? I don't know. I just can't see the point. But the owners are. Don't they like to have? It used to be Thistle Bloodstock, isn't it? And it still is in their colours. I think are they the leading owners at Hamilton or something like that?
Yeah, they would be. Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah, those colours.
Anyway, I'd lay that at 10 to 1 in the first. At 10 to 1, not to be in the first 4.
It might be 80s.
It must be prepping it for the Braveheart Stakes at Hamilton then.
That's it. It's the Braveheart. Yeah. Just to piss the kilt off.
I think Al Arsi will take the world of eating if you trust him.
Yeah, good stuff, Nev. And you two, Quentin, John, anything in this?
It was £250 to enter. So too
That'd be
shabby.
£250 on top of the normal entry fee, which usually is about £70 odd. So it'd be £300, wouldn't it?
Not bad though. You get a good buffet.
We're going off track here, but didn't you say it was because of the owners wanted the 6 badges?
Yeah, there was six
divided by
badges.
320 plus
6
petrol
badges,
down
the
to
smoked salmon, the
diesel
petit
down
foie.
from Jim
Yeah.
Goldie's.
I'd want a hooker.
But that's what Big Jim might be going down for that. We don't know, It's this. Anyway, what an analysis! You see, you don't get this on ITV. You do not get this level of sort of like microscope analysis on why Jim is running a big 150s tote down in the listed race. Only on the bar stewards. This is what we're here for. Right, we'll move on. Enough of this. 3:30 is the Fillies handicap, where normally, like as John says, he's letting the dog in and the pate's out for this race, but he likes his Delta Bay.
This time.
Dogs in the backyard for this one. Quentin Neville, anything that caught your eye in the Fillies?
I was in John's camp, to be honest. You look at Delta Bay, strong on the clock at Newmarket, went missing at Ascot in I think it was a coronation trial or something early last year, but I'll take his word in terms of her being better physically from 3 to 4. Hughie Morrison, he's had Misfits Herbert reappear and win, Haymaker at the Guineas meeting reappear and win, so he's doing well off the break. As you said, Strawberry it's got really high knee action. Will need like soft, heavy ground to be shown to best effect. I doubt they'll run. I'm in Camp Leng.
Funnily enough, I actually like Delta Bay, but I was concerned as to why they've changed yards. I don't see why they would. I mean, I really do like Meon Valley as they've got had such fantastic mares over the years. Would it go from Gosden to Hughie Morrison? I can't say it's a negative because Hughie Morrison is.
I want to get her somewhere a bit quieter now.
Maybe, yeah, possibly, yeah. She's at the right end of the handicap, isn't she? And being the least exposed and the least raced, you would think there might be. Well, you would hope there's a bit more improvement to come, wouldn't you? Off just the back of 3 runs. But as a betting proposition, unless I knew something, the race wouldn't be up my street, really.
No, I think for me, John has lit my interest in the race, obviously with his analysis, from a physical aspect. So that's what I'll be looking at there in the 3:30. Cheers, chaps. 4:05, the Victoria Cup, the Vicky Cup. John and Quentin head to head in this. Nev, did you get a look at this?
I did, and I've came up with the horse that ran in this race last year. Charlie Fellowes' horse, Chief of Chiefs, is essentially a sprinter, but he does stay beyond 6 furlongs. In fact, he actually went over a mile in his younger days, and he's a horse that, if you look at every one of his races, not just I haven't just cherry picked 1 or 2. Every one of his races, he always is running on, which is not always a great sign that they're saving something till the end. But I think he's probably ready for a step up in trip. There are so many in this race. There's 28 horses, so you can't be confident going into it. But I think he's going to be drawn. I've no great opinion of the draw at Ascot, but coming up the stand side, did you say that was the wrong place to be or the right place to be?
Either wing can be okay at Ascot. It's usually centre that's not
centre
good.
That's slow, but
yeah.
I can see that they're going a fierce pace, and the race might just fall into his hands. Chief of Chiefs. It's a horrible. If you're doing your brains in, this is not a race you want to be trying to get out.
Yes, this is a when the fun stops.
You got the 8:35 at first to get out, haven't you? Nice 6 furlong handicap.
Well, yeah. So the 4:05. Yeah, I like I say, I can offer nothing more than what John and Quentin have said. Me and Neville in the sit out camp. Let the dog in for that race.
When fun stops, have a big line of Charlie and empty your wallet. That's what they said.
The Royals have been doing it for years. Anyway, The 205 race at Lingfield is where we go now. It's the SBK Handicap, where I've tipped up ex Gracia, my favourite trainer, Jane Chapel. Any thoughts here, chaps?
I'm hoping you're right in terms of her being well handicapped. I'm confused about the price. I'm trying to work out why they've put it in so big. Is it because she's by Exceed and Excel and she's coming on the grass and she's been on whatever, or like it's just a big price, isn't it? I think they'll sit handier with her. There's Dutch Decoy drawn next to the rail. Obviously, you've got massive rail bias here, hence why they're digging up the course again. But Dutch Decoys look moody, and I'm very reluctant to do anything. So I think if Tom Marquand sits and gets that rail, it's going to be catch me if you can. There's no pace in the race. Jane Chapelheim's not stupid. She's aware of these things. That's the bet in the race. And it wasn't something I looked at in a great deal of depth. I kind of skimmed through the runners earlier, but it'll be one I am backing tomorrow because of your foresight, Lee.
Yeah, the like I say, Exceed Excel normally primarily better on all weather, but it should be quick tomorrow. There, they've had 21 degrees there today. Everyone's getting suntans down there. We're here up north and Quentin in Canada. What's the weather like in Canada, Quentin, at the minute?
14 degrees.
40, you see, that's more York. That's York and where we are in Middlesbrough and everywhere else. But down there, they've had 21, 22 degrees, like a Riviera. So certainly the temperature today, I would think, even if they get a little bit of overnight rain, it's
no wonder the King of Midland couldn't win a Guineas, is there, when we're fighting against such ridiculous temperatures.
Well, it's a temperature bias, isn't it? It's 150 mile away. Temperature bias.
Road patronage would have pissed that if it wintered in the Caribbean or something.
This is it, yeah. There's no wonder the South are more forward in their coats than the Northern ones. Bless them. Okay, we'll move on to the 240, the Derby trial. I found this a little bit tricky because I know that the favourite Walk of Stars is very highly regarded, and they think this is a really good horse, but I don't think he's all there mentally yet. Which is, I think Appleby himself was a little bit upset last time that walking round for a race where they needed to get experience into the horse to be racing. So now you come into a tricky track where if the horse decides that he's gonna go like a bit off kilter mentally, he might not be able to get away with it on a track like this. But Walk of Stars, otherwise, if he does apply himself and everything else, I think the even money might look big. But again, there is that if. Any thoughts on this race, chap?
I was wondering if the price decrease on Lionel is due to John sending out Nick Davis on the old moped round London to take the early prices. But the track's concerning for the Jolly, isn't it? He hung left repeatedly down the straight at Newbury, even Newbury's flat as a pancake. So coming down round the corner, I'm a bit concerned there, but you suspect they'll send Natural Weld on, make it some semblance of a test. I'm not sure how Lionel's bigger than Natural Weld. I know Natural Weld's only had the one start, but you factor sectionals in from last time out. If they walked the dog in front that day, Lionel, troubling running, flew home, will get the trip, no bother. If I can find some sort of match bet with Lionel and Natural Weld, then I'll be all over that. But I think they'll go more of a gallop. As you said, they don't want to walk it for Walk of the Stars. United Nations should improve from Epsom. Up in trip, yard absolutely flying, obviously. I'd like to find Lionel in a match bet with Natural Weld, and I'll be all over that.
This horse,
Aidan
O'Brien's, it didn't seem to handle the track, did it, at Epsom at all?
No.
Yet they're persevering, and they're running out at another very similar track, Lingfield, tomorrow. I mean, he's got so many Derby possibilities at the moment as AP O'Brien, and I'm surprised that they're still aiming this horse or considering this horse for the Derby, because I didn't think he showed tremendous amount of. I'm not saying he showed he didn't show much ability, but he didn't show enough to warrant a Group 1 entry, such as the Derby. But I'm surprised that they're still sort of, giving him another go in another trial. But, the Walk of Stars is so highly regarded that I think they'd be absolutely mortified if it couldn't win a trial. I mean, he's one of their Charlie Appleby's main contenders, isn't he, for the Derby?
Yeah, this really should be Walk of Stars' race. But I just feel that to take even money when you've got a horse that this is not the track to be messing around at short prices. If he's not going to be, Newbury was easier because you've got more of a long straight, a gallop.
I think they want to find out whether he's going to act on a switchback track. Really, that's the key to this race.
Yeah, and that's why the trials. But John's follower Lionel. John's probably a bit sick that they've probably not gone for a maiden, so he can have a 1208. In a nice easy maiden for Lionel. But I agree with what Quentin said as well, that Lionel should be beating Natural World really on what we saw. Okay, we'll go to the 3:15, which is the Hoax trial. Not a very good race. I've tipped, so I'll sit this one out, chaps.
Well, it's called a listed race, but in all honesty, I don't think any of these have shown anything to warrant even being up to listed class at the moment. But that being said, John and Thaddeus Gosden's horse, Belt Buckle, won a pretty ordinary maiden at Wolverhampton, and I don't know whether it's got an official handicap rating or not yet, but I'm sure that they could have at least entered it in a handicap to find out what mark it's got. The Racing Post had it running to low 70s, I think. Well, they've potentially given away a tremendous mark to running a listed race. I think they must think an awful lot of this. I'm not for one moment saying that she's going to win it, but there is nobody better than Gosden when running horses in their correct grade. Now I think Belt Buckle has got a wonderful pedigree. I think she could make Emily Dickinson go all the way. Emily Dickinson's form's nothing special. You highlighted that she's that her rating and her form was nothing out of the ordinary. Well, the horse she beat last time has since been beaten in a maiden. So, it's a listed race. It is a listed race, and I'm sure that in a month or two's time we'll say, well, it was a good race. But at this moment in time, crikey, I think the highest rated is 90. You want to be looking at. You'd expect a filly of over 100 in this race, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's disappointing. I've got to concede now. Yeah, Quentin, John, anything to add?
I think Belt Buckle was very set on debut. I didn't think there was an awful lot of scope for improvement from her. I think Emily Dickinson has far more potential than her, certainly from a physical standpoint. I think they're trying to make Nick a bit of black tape where they can for Belt Buckle, because I think by the time you get to midsummer, I think there'll be that many improved past her. I think there'll be curtains as regards getting black tape for her. I thought possibly Rogue Millennium might move forward a little bit for debut, but overall I could not look past the favourite, sadly.
No, I think that's clearly the most progression, I think, to come up, and that's why I thought it was a good thing. But like you said, we all concur in terms of quality in the race, I think. Quentin?
I think in a month or two time we'll be looking back and saying what a fucking shit race it is. It's dire, isn't it? Emily is a bad one. Emily Dickinson's a standout here. Belt Buckle, she did well to win last time out, 3 deep, further back than ideal, but she's beat one that's rated low 70s. She'll improve, but the price is overbaked the improvement in it. As you said, Rogue Millennium, poor on the clock, right part of the track at Weatherby. Jolly in that race didn't stay. I'm going to have a chunky place bet on Mystic Wells. Strong on the clock at an idiosyncratic track like Brighton. Will get the trip, no bother. Tough, hardy, experienced. I'm surprised she's not shorter. In franchise that she beat at Brighton, raced at Chester, but ended up 3 deep on softer ground than she would like. If in franchise the one, you'll probably be staring down the barrel of 9-2-4. we're going to be getting odds against in the place market here. I'm pretty sure you can't kick her out the frame. The effort was believable at Brighton for me. It'll take a good one to kick her out the frame. So that's my angle into the race.
Good stuff. No, good angle, Quentin. So that's Mystic Wells. He believes he's overpriced. 90 rated runner. Again, not a good race. So finally, we'll not come to Adoc because obviously Quentin and John are not doing the twig hoppers at the moment. So the last race we're going to cover is the 350, the Chartwell Fillies Stakes. She-Do is 11-4 market leader. Anyone want to chime in with opinion here?
No.
The silence is deafening, isn't it? You know, I mean, I did have a look at this, you know. I was sort of trying to toss a coin between two, but it was like, oh, do you want to shag the worst, you know? I mean, it was last orders and grab a granny night.
2:15 a.m. when they've chucking you out in the old nightclub days, and you're looking around what's left.
That's it. Yeah. The man either got cigar or vomit breath, you know. It's just not on, is it? And it reminded me of it. I thought if somebody put a gun to my head, I'd probably have a little bit on Dracula's, just wondering why he's sending it over. But it would be an absolute punt, really.
Yeah, I looked at that. I thought it's strange. After all that time off, with the races in Ireland, that he could have just, you know, think, well, we'll go here. Why? You know, it's an interesting thing. Only one runner as well.
It's not even handy for him to visit Fry, is it?
Not at all. I mean, it's not close to Gloucestershire. And secondly, the last time he did this, De Bromhead, with something like this, was in the, do you remember, Brigadier Gerard?
Oh, yeah.
That mare that won the Brigadier Gerard last year?
Yeah.
The thing that Prescott used to train it, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Can't think of the name off the top of my head, but yeah, Prescott used to train it, and he just, again, one runner, brought that over, bang. So who knows?
That's nowhere near Gloucestershire either, so that begs the question, what the fuck's going on there? Nothing,
well, if Jim's going down there, Emery's going down there, there might be some kind of, you know, Southern Epstein down there. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sailing close to the wind here. Might some complaints.
Once you bring Epstein into the conversation, the lawyers are on standby, aren't they?
Oh, what's this turning into? I don't know.
It's Jockey York Stakes next week, isn't it?
It is. We'll all be celebrating the Jockey York next week. Oh dear. It's like a sermon. It's got into carnage. Right.
One of them school parties in having a look at them, will we? Yeah, the racing
Right, that's it. I'm drawing stumps. Time's up. I hope you enjoyed this show like we have. It's a very busy Bar Stewards coming up. Sunday, the sermon as usual. Monday, there's a sermon special with me, Neil Channing and Matthew Rushton discussing the SCV. Tuesday, it's the Dante preview show, and then we're on to normal schedule after that. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Love you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it like we have. Bye for now.